Was Abraham Lincoln a president?
Yes.
Oh, I thought he was just a whatever publical figure.
Welcome back to Delulu Diaries, where the timelines don't match, but the receipts always do. Lately, while I've been doing research, I've noticed a lot of people coming back to Girl World who have taken a long break, and so there's kind of a lot of demand for a recap. So I am going to work on a full 2026 up to this point recap, but for right now, I just want to go over a couple of things that have happened in recent history. I'm going to go super fast because I know a lot of you guys have already heard all of this, but just for those rejoining us, I want to hit the top beats. And then after that, I'm going to talk about a couple of fan theories and comments that I've gotten that I thought really sparked some interesting debate. So let's go ahead and get into it. Starting off, for anybody who is not aware, she was in the LCU earlier this year. She has since left. She tried to return to YouTube. She got demonetized on YouTube again. And then she was pretty much relying on cameos to earn most of her money, but then a lot of people stopped ordering them, and now she's pretty much getting maybe one a day, and she's not even fulfilling all of the cameos she has. She started popping up on TikTok again back in May. She finally got monetized on TikTok and did a live stream in mid-May. And then she took a long break from posting over there, despite saying she would be on the very next day, which, yes, was a little bit concerning, but you know Amber, she's never going to stick to her word. Either way, this past week, she's done 2 TikTok lives, as well as making a couple of smaller TikToks that are what I eat in a days. And so, to me personally, it feels very obvious that she is trying to sort of maybe soft launch a OF or a Phoebe account, if you guys know. So that's kind of where we're at in terms of her monetization. In terms of friendships, she's been cozying up to Zio the Dreamer quite a bit, which, yes, you guys probably do recall, is the woman that Emily was looking at in the hospital who was on an oxygen tank and Amber was jealous of. And so it's kind of an interesting thing to see Amber trying to cozy up to Zio, getting onto Zio's TikTok lives and things of that nature. I personally am of the belief that she's trying to get close to Zio in order to make sure that nothing happens between Zio and Tommy, because you know Amber, she's gonna blackmail a person, in my opinion, if she can. And so I think she's trying to get dirt on Zio, just like she got dirt on Rosie when she was trying to be friends with Rosie and then immediately spilled it when she thought Rosie was turning against her, which in a hilarious turn of karma was not even the case. So she lost a friend over nothing. And so, yeah, I really don't put it past her to be getting into Zio's good side just to learn some dirt about her. Amber's also been talking about wanting to go to Pearadise, which, if you guys are not aware, is basically a community house where one guy invites a lot of larger women to stay with him, and they do get down to some naughty behavior, if I'm being YouTube safe. Now, that is putting it extraordinarily lightly. I am going to link somebody else's video on it down below, but the allegations are very, very serious. It is not a good place to be. The guy who runs the house is just an awful person, in my opinion, but I don't want to get too deep into that. All you need to know is that there are a lot of allegations of things going on there that are not consensual, but Amber keeps talking about wanting to go, even though there's a whole documentary that came out on the 10th about how terrible it is. And in my personal opinion, this is because she is addicted to the attention that she gets from Emily, and Emily has been pulling away. We've seen Emily flirting publicly on Zio's platform with her, and a lot of people have been reporting that there is proof that Emily has been flirting with other larger creators as well. So that's kind of where we're at on that. In terms of her relationship with her mom, we finally saw Mama Lynn, heard her. We didn't really see her, but we heard her in the background of one of Amber's TikToks again. And I personally believe that the only reason she saw Mama Lynn was because somebody from her past has come out again. Danielle from around the Jade Valentine early Emily years. So it's been, I don't know, I think 2 to 3 years since that period of time. But Danielle came out and said that basically Amber's relationship with her mom sucks and her relationship with Jade was not the best either. There really wasn't too much new tea or anything like that, but I thought it was really interesting that right after Danielle comes out, all of a sudden Amber wants to say, oh, I'm going to see my mom today. My mom loves me. And yes, she said it like that. She didn't say she loved her mom. She said her mom loves her. And then they went out to lunch together at a place that her mom chose. So I think that's kind of convenient timing. I do not think that her and her mom have a good relationship. I think she's just trying to put it up for her fans, the YouTube audience, basically, to be like, no, actually, Danielle is a big fat liar. I'm super close with my mom, even though we haven't seen her or heard anything about her in a very, very long time. So I think that's pretty much the highlights from recent history. And again, like I said, I am going to do the first half of 2026. I'm going to try to get that video out next week. It's just going to take a little bit of time to compile. In the meantime, I do want to talk about a couple of you guys' comments on videos that I've posted this week, because I think you guys brought up a lot of good points that are worth discussing. So in one of my most recent videos, I mentioned that she didn't look like she was getting much enjoyment out of eating anymore, and you guys had a lot to say about that. Somebody said that maybe she's so lazy that now eating feels like work for Emily, so she doesn't get the dopamine hit anymore. And honestly, it's something that has kind of been like subconsciously bouncing around, but until I read this, I didn't really think about it. But it's very unlikely that Emily is just supportive of what Amber is doing right now. It's very likely that she actually is pushing her to consume more. And so it might be that it really does feel like work. It's not fun for her anymore because it's something that she is having to do, and it's really the only obligation she has right now. Someone else says that they agree that she is making content for a specific community, and that, like anything, it's fun and enjoyable when it's a little bit naughty and kind of a treat. But now that people are urging her to do it, like that's the way that she would earn money, and she's got Emily in her life, maybe it's something that she's no longer deriving any enjoyment from. And I think that makes so much sense. Another person mentions that Emily has been publicly cheating, and that Amber's mom has not really been in her life taking her around places anymore. So really all she has in her life is eating, which I agree with. And that's part of why I do feel sad that she's not getting, any kind of pleasure right now, because if she is losing out on money, it's not like she can do her hobbies either. She can't be doing $500 Legos. She's not getting any enjoyment out of eating. Like, she truly is just sitting sad and alone in her apartment, which I know a lot of people think that that's what she deserves. And I don't think that she's out here deserving the world or anything. She is a bad person, but like I've said a million times before, I am going to feel bad for her situation, even though it's something she's brought on herself. I mentioned that I thought that one of her What I Eat in a Days was a little bit rage baity because she was hitting all of the classics, and someone said that they didn't think that it was rage bait, that it was just pure content for Emily's community. And I think that that's something that definitely could be true as well. I mean, it really seems like that is the way that her channel is going. They mentioned that they don't think that it could be rage bait because she has such thin skin. And I don't know how I feel about that, because I feel like Amber has rage baited in the past before, but she is very sensitive. I think it's something that she does maybe out of necessity more than out of like Trisha Paytas, for example, definitely rage baits and creates content purely for engagement. But I don't think it bothers Trisha as much as it bothers Amber. But I think Amber has to do it because that's like the only way to get a payout. That's the only way she can get a lot of people over to her channel. So I still feel 50-50 on that, but I'd love to hear what you guys have to say down in the comments below. And then the last person on this slide says that the fact that she looks dead behind the eyes even when she's eating makes them feel a certain type of way. Not necessarily sorry for her, but it's proof that she is like starting to get into her head about how bad the situation really is. And that's pretty much exactly how I feel. Like, I don't want to say that I feel sorry for her because I do think that she's done a lot of unforgivable stuff in her past, but at the same time, I'm like, it's just sad seeing somebody be sad. And then they mentioned something interesting. They say that the TikTok era is her getting karma that she missed on the LCU, because going on the LCU was supposed to be her taking accountability and having people ask her tough hitting questions. And as we all know, that didn't happen. But now that she's doing the TikTok battles, that is kind of happening, because once you start a battle, you're locked in for 3 minutes and people are going to the people that she's battling's page and giving them ammo to ask her about. So it really is kind of what we were promised on the LCU in a way, just on a completely different platform. And regarding her What I Eat in a Days, somebody said that they thought that maybe she could be copying Zio, because Zio does What I Eat in a Days. And that kind of makes sense to me too, because if Emily is interested in Zio, as this commenter says, then maybe Amber's trying to follow in Zio's footsteps to regain Emily's interest. I mean, Zio was at Pearadise. Zio does What I Eat. Now Amber's talking about wanting to go to Pearadise. Amber's doing What I Eat in a Days. Like, It just kind of makes sense to me. And then I had also mentioned that the door was casting a shadow, and Amber said that she had her next meal and the shadow on the door barely moved. So a couple of people weighed in on that maybe it was artificial light, or that they agreed with me and thought that the shadow did move, but that Amber just wasn't likely to notice it. And somebody else said something about her eating the huge bowl of cereal at the end, where it's super fun for actors to eat sweets until they're on the 30th take and they just don't want it anymore. And they speculate that maybe that's how Amber's feeling about these what I eat in a days. Like maybe by the time that she is really shoveling it in there because she feels like she needs to in order to appeal to that community, it's not fun anymore because maybe she doesn't necessarily want that portion size at every meal. I'm not 100% sure how I feel about that because I do think that Amber's always been the kind of person to eat a large quantity of food, but maybe she's having to be particular about the kinds of food she eats, both because of a financial reason as well as because of what performs well online. The last couple of comments I wanted to talk about was somebody said that they wonder if her having to cook her own food is making her miserable because she loves DoorDash, but now she's going to have to like cook for herself. She can't really go out shopping anymore. And they speculate that she still gets her groceries delivered. Now, they kind of made me think a little bit because I do agree with the first portion 100%. I think that she is going to miss doing her $500 Legos and getting all of her little haul stuff. And I don't think she enjoys it when she cooks her own food. But then they say that they think that she's getting her groceries delivered. And I'm like, I don't see Amber going out to get groceries, but I also don't know if she can afford to get groceries delivered. And then I thought about it and I was like, she just saw Mama Lynn, and we haven't heard about Mama Lynn in a long time, nor have we seen her cook her own food in a long time. So I wonder if Mama Lynn dropped groceries off when she went out with Amber, because she'd have to pick Amber up because Amber can't drive anyways and Amber won't take an Uber. So what do you guys think? Do you think that Mama Lynn is doing like a weekly grocery delivery for Amber? It would kind of even make sense because if Amber is having her mom shop for her and is kind of like, oh, I don't even want to make a list, you just get what you think is good, that would explain why she's having the corned beef hash that she hasn't had since childhood, apparently. But I don't know. I could be getting very paranoid with that. Somebody else mentions that she's eating out of her pantry now that she can't afford to buy DoorDash, which again, I agree with. Regarding her not looking happy eating in her What I Eat in a Day, somebody said she looks like a person who's trying to hide how worried she actually is. Her money's been cut, which means that all of her comfort has been cut off. They can't do DoorDash, they can't do shop therapy, and that if she's learned anything about the girls of Girl World, they can't deal with discomfort. And I think that is spot on. Maybe it's not so much about the eating, maybe it's her having the realization as she's eating that like, this is my life now. I have to eat on TikTok and hope that I make it here because I don't have any other options. Another one of you guys said that you don't think that Amber really wants to lose weight and she should just be honest and admit it. And again, I have mixed feelings. I don't think she wants to put in the work to lose weight, but I think there is still a small piece of Amber that thinks that she's going to do it someday, just magically. Like she's going to wake up and decide to do it and lose all this weight, because she still talks about things like her carb intake and trying to trick her brain by eating 2 mini bagels instead of a full bagel. Like, I really think she's delusional enough to think that nothing will change, but she will suddenly start losing weight. And then the last comment says that TikTok is going to boot her. This whole arc and the behaviors she's been doing are a violation of terms of service. And YouTube and TikTok both are probably getting very concerned because of the Eugenia Cooney situation, which if you don't know, there is a lawsuit based around her involvement on the internet and how she is negatively influencing younger girls. And so that's why YouTube has been doing a larger push to get this kind of food related content off of the platform. So yeah, I thought you guys had a lot of really great takes. I originally thought that TikTok was probably a better platform for her, but as soon as somebody brought up Eugenia Cooney, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. So maybe she will get taken down. Let me know if this sparked any new thoughts in you guys' mind. If you guys have any theories you'd like me to talk about if I ever do this again, if you liked this format, and we'll go from there. But if you made it this far, you already know. Stay to Lulu, but not that to Lulu. I'll catch you in the next one.